Prototype of the Lockheed U-2 reconnaissance aircraft flies for the very first time. Cultural icon who became a major Hollywood figure after just 5 years in the business, James Dean, collided with another car at a highway intersection while driving his Porsche 550 Spider. He died on impact. He was only 24 years old, and Chuck Berry records his first hit single, Maybelline, why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true? For Chess Records in Chicago. The year is 1955. And this was to be Ford's answer to the Corvette, but they ended up tapping into a completely new market segment called the personal luxury car segment. But before getting into this one, I'm your host Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that does deep dives on cars from the past, maybe your favorites, maybe they're ones that you have forgotten about, all done up in mini documentary format, history, specs, design. We do cars, we do engine histories as well as company histories. And I'm not trying to ramble, I'm just trying to tell you what we're about. If any of that sounds of interest to you, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. Real quick before getting into the meat and potatoes, it's crazy that it's already upon us, but my favorite car show ever, like to go to ever, and it's more than a car show. This thing is an experience that you have to go. It is the Old Car Festival. It is this coming up weekend, Saturday, September 6th and Sunday, September 7th at the Greenfield Village in Dearborn, Michigan, right next to the Henry Ford Museum. And it is absolutely epic. First off, for anybody that has never been to or even heard of the Greenfield Village, it is a period correct town. All of the buildings were brought there by Henry Ford himself while Henry Ford was still alive. They have the Wright Brothers bicycle shop. Like, you could go into the Wright Brothers bicycle shop and see it as it was back then. And then you have the car show, and it's cars that are older than 1932. 1932 is the newest model year, and they drive them in the streets. In my opinion, Saturday is the best day to go and stay there all day so you can watch the gas lighting event at night. They do a parade, they light up all these gas lights. There's all kinds of different lights, and you wouldn't think that light bulbs would be that interesting, but they really are, because it's interesting. It's like going back in time. So for information on that, I will post the link in the description below to get pricing and all that other stuff, but you should definitely go, and I'll be there. So if you run into me, be sure to say hey. 1955 Ford model lineup consisted of full-size cars. Main line was in the basement, followed by custom line in the center, Fairlane at the top. Wagons could be had in 2-door and 4-door body configurations, 6 to 8 passenger capacity. Country Squire was the top trim level on the wagons. Ford also offered a truck line going half-ton all the way up to the big commercial. All new for 1955 was the Thunderbird, originally built to compete with the Chevy Corvette. And actually, as the story goes, Chevy begged Ford to build a competitor to the Corvette because the Corvette sales in the very beginning wasn't that good. For those that don't know, Chevy debuted the Corvette in 1953, and it was Chevy's sports car / halo car. Well, halo car might be a bit of a stretch. It was the first car made by one of the big three that many believe to be the first fiberglass car, but there are cars that predate it, like the Wood-Ill Fire Drill or the Glass Bar G2, which came out in 1949, but both of those cars weren't even considered the first fiberglass cars. The first fiberglass car built in this country was the Stout Scarab, which is considered by many to be the first production minivan, and it came out in 1946. The 1953 Corvette looked great, but it came with only one engine, a 6-cylinder. Chevy probably got inspiration from Europeans, taking a page from Jaguar with their XK120, which had a 6-cylinder. It was the fastest car in the world at that point in time, but the Jag engine was refined and sophisticated, whereas the Chevy engine, they basically sourced it from a truck and dressed it up. To expand on a comment that I made earlier about that Chevy begged Ford because I've been doing this long enough. The die-hard General Motors fans will be saying that I'm wrong and about how I put it in the terms of begging. But look at the sales numbers. The first year for Corvette, they sold 300 units. 1954, they sold 3,640 units, which was pretty good. 55, they were down to 700 units. Upon further examination, and I don't know why people have to do this, but why can't they just give the actual numbers? They didn't make 700 Corvettes in 1955. They made 674 units in 1955. The Corvette wasn't the only sports car offered here. Many believe the Corvette was the first sports car here, but in the States, that's not true. Post-war sports car Crosley Hotshot / Crosley SS was technically the first one. It was also the first car to have disc brakes and use a caliber. It had four-wheel disc brakes. You could option that, but that's another story for another time. The next one is the Nash Healey. Then there was the Kaiser Darren, which was announced before the Corvette, but the Corvette beat it to market. The Darren had some issues with the fiberglass making process. But what's interesting is the very first year of the Thunderbird, Ford was able to sell twice as many Thunderbirds in 1955 than Corvette made from 1953 through 1955, plus all of the Kaiser Darrens, which was only 435 units, all of the Nash Healeys from 1951 through 1954, which was 507 units, and all of the Crosley Hot Shots and Super Shots built from 1949 through 1951, which was 2,498 units. So that total is 8,080 units. Thunderbird sold 16,155 cars their very first year. The Thunderbird set out to compete with the Corvette, but it ended up in a completely new market segment called the personal luxury car segment. What's interesting is it wasn't the first car to be a personal luxury car. It could be argued that the 1953 Starlight Coupe was the first post-war personal luxury car. Anyway, Ford would offer the Thunderbird from 1955 through 1997. They would discontinue it after the 1997 model year. It would come back in 2002 as a two-seater in a retro design and was offered from 2002 to 2005. Fun fact, Thunderbird wasn't Ford's first attempt at a two-door, two-person sports roadster. They made a concept car called the Vega in 1953, but Ford never really brought it to market because it didn't create as much interest as they were hoping, and it was expensive to produce and kind of underpowered. Thunderbird was offered in 11 generations. 1955 was the first year, first generation, which was produced 55, 56, and 57. What's really cool about Thunderbirds is each generation has a nickname. So 55 through 57 was Baby Bird or Little Bird. 58 through 60, Square Bird. 61 through 63, Bullet Bird. 64 through 66, Flare Bird. 67 through 71, Glamour Bird. 72 through 76, Big Bird. 77 through 79, Torino Bird. 80 through 82, Box Bird. 83 through 88, Arrowbird, 89 through 97, Superbird, and then rounding out the series so far, 2002 to 2005, Retrobird. The Thunderbird would be unveiled at the Detroit Auto Show February 20th of 1954 and would go on sale that same year, but in October 22nd of 1954 as a 1955 model. 3,500 orders were placed within the first 10 days. Ford only planned on building 10,000 units in the very first year, and to keep costs down, Thunderbird used a lot of existing Ford parts. The chassis was cut down to 102 inches in the wheelbase, which was the same as the Chevy Corvette. Ford would use existing suspension parts as well as all of the parts that they offered on their big cars on the Thunderbird. What made the Thunderbird so enticing was its looks and packaging. Ford knew what the buying public wanted, and sales proved it. None of the other sports cars, none of the other American sports cars came standard with a V8. Corvette still came standard with the Blue Flame 6. You could get a V8, but you had to pay extra money for that. All 1955 Thunderbirds were convertibles, but you had your choice. It came standard with a fiberglass hardtop, or you could get a soft top for a $290 upcharge. You could have both, which was equivalent to $3,495.67 in the year 2025. Options. I mean, while we're on the topic, we might as well talk about some other options. We're not going to get into all of the options, but here are a few. Overdrive transmission was $110, which was like $1,325.94 today. Ford-O-Matic, $178, which would be like $2,145 today. Radio, $99. That doesn't sound all that bad until you convert it to today's money, $1,193.35 in the year 2025. Power brakes, power seats, power windows, all of that were options that had to be purchased at an additional price. Let's talk specs. 175.3 inches long, 70.3 inches wide. It rides a wheelbase of 102 inches. It weighs 2,980 pounds. Price, $2,944, which would be equivalent to you spending $35,487.06 in the year 2025. Total 1955 Ford production was 1,451,157 units, of which total Thunderbird was 16,155 units. Moving on to engine, only one engine available for the Thunderbird, 292 Y-block overhead valve V8, 4.8 liters. It was good for 193 horsepower with a manual transmission and 198 horsepower with an automatic transmission. And it made that power at 4,400 RPM, 285 pound-feet or 386 newton meters around 2,400 RPM on the automatic. Bore of 3 3/4 inches and a stroke of 3.30 inches. Compression was 8.1 with the manual, 8.5 with the Ford-O-Matic automatic. Holley 4-barrel carburetor, 5 main bearings. 0 to 60 with the Ford-O-Matic could be achieved in 9.6 seconds. And it's important to note, the Ford-O-Matic was technically a 3-speed automatic, but you could only achieve low gear by selecting low gear. Low gear only gave you first gear. So when you started out in the normal drive position, you started out in the second gear and you would get third. 3-speed manual, 0 to 60 in 8.9 seconds. Average fuel consumption is anywhere between 13 to 15 miles to the gallon. Top speed is anywhere between 104 to 115 miles per hour. Important to note that these are just jumping off points. Mileage may vary. Lots of different factors can affect the differences between all of these numbers. Final gear ratio isn't known for the figures provided. Altitude, gas, quality, and tune all play different effects, as well as tire size. So these numbers are just jumping off points. Let's talk styling on this car. Notice the bumpers and the bumper rets and or overriders. Got turn signal indicators. Notice all of the cascading lines in that turn signal bulb. Headlight bezels are painted. Notice the hood. This beautiful grille. Badging on the nose is different for 55 with the Ford crest and the flags. Fenders are flared ever so slightly but rolled. This one has beautiful wire wheels on here. The owner was telling me that the wire wheels are from 62. These ones could be an option, but the wire wheels that are on this car are from the 62 Thunderbird. Got these fake Vanaports, if that's what it's supposed to be mimicking. V8 badging there. Side mirrors are mounted to the door itself. Wraparound windshield wipers that come together. Notice this one does not have a cowl vent. It does have a hood scoop and windshield washer squirters. Also notice there aren't any wing windows and or vent windows. This car has fender skirts with a little gravel guard there. Thunderbird script. Notice how this convexes out. Bumpers in the back reminisce the bumpers in the front, but they look to be slightly different. There are bolts in the bumpers. Bumper overriders and or bumperettes. Notice the exhaust ports through them. Beautiful brake lights. Backup lights. Gas fillers right here. And it's nice on the 55, you don't have to worry about that spare tire, because on the 56 they all had those Continental kits and the gas filler location is in the same spot, so you have to move the spare tire every time you want to put gas in your car. This door has quite a hefty feel about it. This feels like a vinyl material. Got an armrest. Notice it protrudes out more towards your elbow region, or where your elbow would be, and then tapers more back in where it connects to the dashboard. Also notice how this part here curves, so it connects to the dashboard. As you can see over here, it has a nice feel to it. It's like the whole dashboard and door panels are all connected. Door handle to get out. 4-way power seats right here. It's just very interesting. I guess I never really paid that much attention to a 55 Thunderbird not having these wing windows and or vent windows. It's just interesting when you open it, it seems like they're missing, because they kind of sort of are, but they were never really there. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, got the high beam switch on the floor, brake pedal, gas pedal, handbrake. Just take a gander at this interior. Okay, we're going to talk about a controversial topic a little bit. A couple years ago, I did a 56 Thunderbird, and I didn't really show this or elaborate as much as I probably should have. I'm going to do it here. These have a weird seating position, and here's why. This is the seat. This is the floor. Look at how far this seat sits off. It pretty much sits on the floor. This isn't tubbed or channeled out enough. It's a weird seating position. These are hard cars to get in and out of if you're big. But Corvettes are the same way. I haven't been in a Kaiser Darren or a Nash Healy, but I would assume that they are about the same. It doesn't really get better for the Thunderbirds until 58, but the steering wheel's kind of in your crotch. That's where the crotch test came from, was the 58 Thunderbird started that. So this one looks like it's got aftermarket air conditioning vents. Got the key, which looks like this, standard Ford 50s key. Hood release is right there. So I kind of sort of want to show you how I get in. Plus you have this dog leg thing. A lot of people say that they come up and they smack their knee off of this and that's why it hurts, but I usually get in like this. I put my knee in like this and then I just kind of slide in, but it's really hard to do in this car because the seat to floor ratio isn't that great. So you got to kind of do something else, I guess. Have to do something else. So I guess we'll have to just go in like this. Yep. Here's what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person over the hood would look like. Up above, another thing that the 55 Thunderbird didn't get was sun visors. So there are no sun visors. There's a rear view mirror and center. No sun visor for the passenger. Let's talk about seat back profile. It reclines slightly. The bench is huge. And like I said, the seat to floor ratio, it's interesting. If the floor was down just a wee bit, or the seat was up a little bit higher, it would work out better. But it is what it is. It's just the way it is. It probably doesn't affect short people, but for tall people, it's definitely interesting. On to the button switches and knobs. You got a 5,000 RPM tach. Right here, this is a turn signal indicator, and it just glows green. Up here, we have our astrodial. 150 mile per hour speedometer with odometer in center. You also have the gasoline gauge, oil idiot light, generator idiot light, coolant temperature, right turn signal indicator, clock. You got the headlights, left air vent for a vent in the footwell, key/ignition right below it, windshield wipers, cigarette lighter, radio with radio controls. You got an ashtray that pulls out there, heat and ventilation controls, blower motor speed, glove box. Believe it or not, but on the 55, 56 Thunderbirds, you could turn this mechanism and telescope the steering wheel. So there it is. Ford's 292 Y-block V8. Absolutely love these valve covers. Awesome. Owner was just telling me that this car has been converted to 12 volt. Has the battery disconnect switch, which is nice. Single master brake cylinder, no power assist. This one has the windshield washer bag for the windshield washer fluid. Fuel filter with mechanical fuel pump down inside there. Got the heater box and heater. Owner was also telling me that this one's been upgraded with a air conditioning compressor. Single belt system that runs everything. The air conditioning compressor, generator, water pump fan combo, and crankshaft. All running off the crank. Distributors in the back with the coil. I love the over the hood profile.
Do you know her name? Her name's Esther.
Esther. What's Esther signify? Signify.
Just we like the name.
Like the name Esther. You got glass backs on this?
No, mufflers.
This sounds good. Y-blocks have a distinctive sound. On the positive side, 55 is Genesis for the Thunderbird. It's an icon of both sports car and personal luxury cars. V8 power. Many examples have lots of optional equipment. Great interior. I mean, all of the interior colors just pop. Small, sporty car that makes you smile even when you're thinking about it. Great visibility. Huge glove box. This car has amazing club support, and you could get just about every single part for this car against it. If you're a bigger person, getting in the first couple times can be challenging. The steering wheel is pretty much right in your lap. rust prone. It's also important to tell you that in the 80s, there was actually two companies, Shea Motors and Regal Roadster, who would build replicas of the 55, 56, 57 Thunderbirds out of fiberglass. Just so you know, the real ones are steel. Ford didn't make the Thunderbird out of fiberglass in 55. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather, two scenarios. These aren't fair, but which one would you rather have? 1955 Corvette, or 1955 Ford Thunderbird, or 1955 Studebaker Speedster. I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free to pause the video. On to the second scenario, 1954 Nash Healey, or 1955 Ford Thunderbird, or 1954 Kaiser Darren. Once again, going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Song and Dance. I mean, name that tune. First person to get both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of it. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this one. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could always shoot me a comment in the comment section below. I read and answer all comments posted. I don't say that for self-worth. I just say that if you want to reach out to me, I don't make it like other YouTube channels where they'll never get back to you. I try to treat people how I would like to be treated, and I try to live my life like that. And yeah, so if you want to reach out to me, you could do it that way, or you could always send me an email at what_its_like@yahoo.com. Thanks again for everything that you guys bring in the comment section. I appreciate the stories. I love when you guys share the memories, especially if you had a car like this, or if your parents had a car like this and what they traded them for. I think it's really cool to see what people had and what they traded it for. I think that's cool. Till next time, toodaloo! Welcome to the after show. This part of the video doesn't have any sound or commentary, but it gives you the opportunity to see all of the lines and details in this car that you don't normally get to see from far away. Enjoy.